How's everybody doing? Today would normally be what I would call an overwhelming day, but it was in a good way. I'm starting to believe that there is such a thing such as uh, positive stress, and I kind of was looking for what happened today to happen, and I believe that what was so wonderful about it was exactly what I was hoping to experience actually really did happen. So uh, today, my brother-in-law, he had sent me some information on. I think it's like a 2019 or a 2020 Maserati. So, he was telling me about it, in terms of, just everything about it, so forth and so on. I was like really pumped up, really, really hyped up. Now, some of you who have never been incarcerated, you probably don't really understand what it feels like to turn your life around. And I know it's going to be a minute because that's just how things are. The term is called the tipping point. It's when people wake up and find out someone has some information online that's really on point, that gives you that insight of how to take control over your life. And then also to realize uh, the power that you always had, but the only reason why you acted the way that you did was because you lack knowledge of who you truly are. So for me, it's very important for me to reach a certain level in my life, the way that the Lord is moving in my life in such a way that the individuals who most need to hear what it is that I have to share, they will understand it. So let me get to the information. The first piece of information is called asset protection. Now, many people who are either getting ready to go to prison, are currently in prison, getting ready to get out of prison. Your everyday existence is at a certain level, because I've already experienced it myself, where all you're trying to do is survive, right? But we find out that our precious Lord, that which has created all things, is more to it than that. And I happen to hear a brother talk about, individuals that are, fake, or just doing what they're doing because it sounds slick, especially if they, were in the joint and so forth and so on. But then what you find out is that people who really know who God is, that's the capital G, the capital O, the capital D, not the lesser entities, or they really start finding out what's going on. So let me get to the first book. I think I already shared it with you already. It's called Asset Protection. Now here's the information in asset protection. Also, this book is written by David E. Robinson. David E. Robinson. And basically what it talks about is how to create a trust, what is a trust, why a trust are essential, why are they necessary, the principles, financial planning for the future, tax-free living, pure trust, definitions, structuring the pure trust, questions and answers, common law jurisdictions. Some of the paperwork deals with declaration of trust, bill of sale, affidavit, designation of successor, quit claim deed summary, and just information relative to something called private versus public, creditor or debitor, and something called produce the note. Now, when you initially get in trouble, you really don't know how much money that you're generating for the state, and that your information is, how can I say, bundled and traded on the New York Stock Exchange. It doesn't matter if you're on probation, parole. It doesn't matter whether or not, in some cases, excuse me, where you've been released from a physical incarceration. So, brothers or individuals that find themselves caught up also need to understand the value of something called international banking and something called the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. Later on, this is all going to come, how can I say, ready for you when you are ready for it. Some people are not ready for it. So you have another piece of literature called Destiny of Souls. This is the title. The author is named Dr. Michael Newton, PhD. And basically what this book is based on is something called the New Case Studies of Life Between Lives. Now, what I found out is that either I don't know what I'm talking about or I do. The way that my life is going right now is I want to impact as many people as possible on the positive. And I've also found out that the way that energy works, you may be told something on Monday, but you don't get it until Friday or maybe Wednesday. Because the world that we live in now, there's so much competition for our attention. So some people don't even know if something is real or not. So let me get back to this book, why I got this book. Also, this same author has a book called Journey of Souls. And the reason why that was so important to me is because I had also been in the funeral business. I've been an assistant funeral director, assistant mortician. I've been around that environment, and I always wanted to know, one, do we only live one life? And two, if we don't, is there any information that can support that? Practical information that's scientific. Because at the end of the day, I had to ask myself, if I'm born a black man in this particular lifetime, is there's more to it, and why was I born what they call black, or some people call Moor? Because they were not, most of the places I was going to, they were not teaching this information. I needed to know this information. Okay? So, basically what this book is based on, for those who are ready for it, is it says, how to be on purpose on earth. Spiritual settings where souls go after death. The soul-brain connection. Soulmates. Soul travel between lives. Spirit guides. The ways spirits connect with and comfort the living. Why we choose certain bodies. So for me, that was very important for me to know, and I may expound on this information later, but I will say this. This particular doctor named Dr. Michael Newton, he was a cynic. That means he was strictly in the books. He didn't care what you said. If he felt that it could impact his practice in any kind of way, he wasn't with it. But he had an incident that occurred. And the incident went something like this. There was a gentleman who had came to his office, and he had never had any injury on his left side. So he had this like mark on his left side that was causing him excruciating pain. He was trying to figure out what was going on with that. So what happened was he came to this doctor, Michael Newton, and the doctor put him under. What happened was Dr. Newton's receptionist stuck her head in and interrupted the good doctor. And what happened was when he came back and asked the gentleman, where are you at? Make a long story short, the guy said he was on a battlefield. He was on a battlefield in France. He named his name, what his rank number was, what month it was, what the battle was called. I mean, everything. Well, what happened was, after this happened, this guy never had any problems. But the reason why this is so important to me is because Dr. Newton was able to develop 3,000 documented cases of people who had lived before. And what happened with that? So at the end of the day, it don't matter whether or not you believe anything. Like, for example, let me hit you with this one. They got something called microwaves. They got something called radio waves. Television signals. Can you see them? But what about this? You can turn on your cable, can't you? So I'm going to let y'all go with that. I want y'all to have a blessed day. Get on top of that piece of literature. See what it do for you. Thank you.